Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Hey everybody, what's up? I hope you are crushing it right now. Look, if you're not crushing it, it's okay. It's all right. Look, we're in a wobbly market and our way ahead is still uncertain, at least from an economic perspective. Wall Street, of course, is still ripping, but it's getting more and more nervous as inflation heats up. The Biden administration today has proposed increasing a capital gains tax, which will be a force function to encourage wealthy people to move cash out of the markets, regular markets, and into tax-deferred investment vehicles. And there are agencies that like the Consumer Finance Bureau, that are calling for a continued moratorium on rent and mortgages. And look, all of this points to at least continued pressure on inventory. And look, so I keep saying the same things, and there's just more and more data supporting the fact that 2021 is going to be a repeat, and maybe a repeat of 2020. And if that's the case, there are going to be more qualified agents competing for the same amount of inventory. And the question is, if you're not crushing it, how do you get ahead? How do you differentiate yourself? Now, today I brought on the CEO of BombBomb, which is a video service, to talk about how and what he thinks is the most compelling ways to do this. Now, look, a quick note from our sponsors. I say it all the time. The best way to get listings is to reach them at the point where they intend to sell, or at least have questions on selling. And the best way to do that is radio advertising. Now, look, radio is, if you think it's so 1990, I get it. And and I love all the new stuff. I love all the new stuff you can do with Facebook advertising and funnel building. But I will tell you, there's nothing better than radio to dump ready-to-list homeowners than with radio. That's it. I've not seen anybody else or any other vehicle come close. Now, if you want to know more, you can go to myradioexpert.com. That's myradioexpert.com. And fill out the getting started sheet and see if you're a fit. And look, if you have just a quick question, you can call me. My direct line is 619-301-0823. Let's get to the show. Today on the show, I'm thrilled to have today's guest. Today's guest is a marketing and sales expert. He is the co-founder of BombBomb. And if you don't know what BombBomb is, they're a video email messaging service. So we're going to find out a little bit why today's guest has put his, main focus on video. I'm thrilled to welcome Darin Dawson. Darin, thanks for taking the time, man.
Thanks for having me, man. It's great to be here.
Perfect. So take a minute. We'll get into what you're doing. I always want to get a feel for who you are before we get into, kind of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So take a minute and tell everybody a little bit about who Darin is. And then again, we'll get to what BombBomb is and how people can use video in their marketing and sales.
Yeah, man. First and foremost, I'm a dad and a husband. So I'm privileged to have a son who's 11 and twin daughters who are 9. Been married 16 years, and I live in a little town, which I love, called Palmer Lake, Colorado. And it's at 7,600 feet in elevation, and it's only 1,800 folks, but I'm only an hour from Denver and about 30 minutes from Colorado Springs. So I love where I live, and been happy to do that. We've started BombBomb here, and it's kind of an interesting place to start a business, and it's been fun. So that's really who I am, and I've been a sales and marketing guy for 20 something plus years, I think now.
Okay. All right. And so what, I know you guys founded the company in 2011, which is a weird time in a lot of ways to found a company. Why focus on video? Because there's so many ways, right? Especially with the iPhone, it's video is native to most of the devices we have. And then you guys, what was the impetus around, what did you think, I guess, BombBomb was needed in the world?
It was actually 2006 when we started. So a few years before that, I quit my day job in 2011. So to clarify, the iPhone did not have a video recorder device in it at that time. And Google had not yet purchased YouTube, right? So it was super early. We were super early. We were using flip cams, if you remember those.
Sure.
So you remember flip cams?
Yeah, of course.
So, the idea was that we thought we were better face-to-face, right, in sales. And the problem that existed, though, we had more customers than we had time. So how do you scale yourself to be more face-to-face more often with more people? We thought, well, wow, we could use video to do that through email. That was back then, right? And we kind of cobbled together. I mean, you couldn't even really host things. We bought a server, put it in a closet, and the first BombBomb video was hosted on that server in a closet. So we sent that out to about 100 different people, and everybody was like, what is this? This is amazing. They didn't pay so much attention to what we were offering, but they were paying attention to the way that we offered it. And so we thought, well, Connor and I were always entrepreneurial, and we thought, man, this is pretty cool. Maybe we should do this as a business. And we were always looking for a business from the business we were in. We were in a sales and marketing company, and then we got into this. So we developed a SaaS company around this, software as a service company around this concept.
Okay. All right. So I get that. Okay, you were early. I did not know you guys were that early. On your LinkedIn page, I thought it said you guys in 2011, but that's fine. You guys were early.
That's when I started BombBomb. That's when I started. So
I got it. Okay.
I did not quit my day job until 2011.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So again, by 2011, the iPhone did have a recording device. I mean, didn't you think you guys were sunk? Didn't you think like, oh my gosh, we've spent 4 years or 5 years on this thing. Where's our business going to go? Right? Because
no, the interesting thing is that the process around delivering a video, even then and even now, through your iPhone is not as quick and seamless as what we can offer. And it's trackable through our service. So what's going on with your communication effort. But, it's kind of even back then, it was a longer process. And the phone still makes a bigger video than really email can handle sometimes, right? So if you shoot in the truest form of my iPhone 12, like that thing puts out a huge video, HD, huge resolution.
Giant file.
And so exactly. And so when you try and pull that thing through in Gmail or Outlook, and especially as we transition to online services, a lot of times there's troubles bringing that big of an attachment down. Now you can, but some of these files are just too big. So depending on your video size and all of those things, we kind of take care of that problem for you, make it super simple, right? And then we let you know how much of the video was played. We even have really gone into what we think is a much deeper experience, is the recipient experience. So not just the sender experience, but how the recipient receives the video and how they interact with it, right? And how do we get more interaction going versus just the play? Where can we take that? We can get commenting in there. Can we get social interactions or emoticons and things like that? Because what you're trying to do is get an engagement from the person you're sending it from. So we're trying to offer a multiple of engagements that they could do besides just they play the video.
Right. Okay. And I think for all those reasons, I think, look, video is super important. And I think video needs to be a pillar in everybody's businesses. Here's the challenge. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the content, because, we all know in sales, like we are, I'm best one-to-one, right? Belly to belly. This is where we want to get to in the sales world. And there's a lot that goes into the customer development process, and using video. I think what I'm hearing from you, Darin, is the method or the process of developing a customer along the way certainly is going to be slightly enhanced to whatever degree, right, by the use of video. The deal with video or email, right? The cool thing about, I'll talk about email for example for a second, but the cool thing about email is I can create hopefully a compelling message and deliver one to many, right? Like I sit down, I craft a message, create an email, and then I can send it out to my whole list, right? 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 people, whatever it might be. And then I can track the engagement, right? I can track the opens. I can see how many people responded. The problem, okay, so with email or video, right? That's just a delivery channel, right? So you are saying, okay, we're gonna offer this really cool new video delivery channel. We will take out all the friction of creating a video, right? We're gonna reduce the file size, right? We'll be able to send it out to a bunch of people. I'll let you track it. So that's cool, right? The problem is most people just are not marketing people. They think they're salespeople. They think they're marketing people, but they're not. So when it comes to creating the content for a video or an email, like nobody knows what to do. So how does I guess talk to me about the differentiation between the one-to-one, one-to-many, and the content creation?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I might agree with you that I think time is a problem there too. Not everyone's an expert marketer nor maybe has the time to sit down and think through what this campaign is going to be. I would definitely say that everyone knows what to say in a video here, and here's why. Because they're doing it in almost every point of their lives. And I think I can get back to the campaign style of messaging. That's very much a marketing concept, and it can be done. But where we have found the best implementation of video is in one-to-one messaging, not so much in the sending to 20,000 or 10,000 people. Okay. And it's these simple communications that you're doing, and you may be doing them on the phone, and it may not just be we're kind of talked about in an outbound sales context, but very much in a retention strategy with your existing people that you've worked with, people that you interact with on a regular basis. Could be title, mortgage, could be other agents, could be people in your organization. Communication is best face-to-face, as we've established. So why do we take out all of that nonverbal interaction with white text or black text on a white screen, or even a phone message? Sometimes it's better if it's face-to-face, right? So one-to-one, some examples would be gratitude. Thank you for your business. Thank you so much for working with me. Really enjoyed our time together. Hope you enjoy the house. How do you tie those messages in a very heartfelt way? So feeling, and these things only come from interactions with humans in a lot of ways, right? Even in a written word. And so how can you really institute a feeling of gratitude or generosity? These things I think are better in one-to-one messages through video. And that was the original idea. We couldn't do it really well back then so we went to email marketing and mass email marketing with video, because that was frankly simpler to do than what now is easier to do with the one-to-one. We've evolved a ton around the one-to-one messaging. And really, when people are buying a BombBomb account, that is typically what they're trying to do. They're trying to enable their sales teams, their customer success teams, their agents to communicate one-to-one with another individual in a really personal way that's meaningful and not meant for everybody, meant just for that one person. So, even through the pandemic, I've seen great implementation of this through just the human connection. The interesting thing about the video is that it's asynchronous, right? Whereas versus synchronous, like something like Zoom videos or something like that, where you're on in real time, asynchronous allows them to watch the video on their time and feel that connection with you. And especially in a time where we were taken apart from each other, it couldn't be face-to-face. You had to be physically distant. You could implement something like a video message that could be played on their time. They still get the feeling of, bumping into you at the grocery store, so to speak. So it was a very practical way to stay face-to-face with your existing customer base, and then work with people that may be coming into your website as a lead opportunity and things like that. So both sales and kind of customer retention, right? Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
No. I think you're 100%. I think you're on track, but I think we need to. What I'm curious and I'm interested in doing in this conversation is breaking down the use of video, and we can talk about your service specifically, but the use of video. And I guess you did a good job. You did a good job of categorizing some of the process, right? So there's the first piece of the process, which is maybe the customer development process, right? Like it's somebody that I've bumped into, I was introduced to, we haven't done anything, right? We're just kind of feeling each other out. So we got a customer development process, let's say that's like number one, right? And then then we have the sales, I guess sales. How would you? Maybe you can help me. What would be I'll just jump to the last phase, and then you and I can flesh out the middle phase. But the last phase that you were just talking about was the retention piece, right? You kind of focused on the gratitude piece, and we can talk about that. But like the middle piece, right? Which is, how would you define the middle piece? Would that be custom development to sales, or how would you describe that? Once I develop you as a customer and now we're in a transaction, we haven't closed one, right? But we're looking for a house, or maybe we've just listed your house, right? Like, how would you describe that middle tier, the most important piece of a transaction?
Yeah, I'll take you through maybe 3 steps in there, and I can dive in as much as you want here. But the first one, I love that idea, the interaction, right? Maybe you meet this person for the first time, maybe at a social event or whatever. You want to send them a video saying, "Hey, it was great to meet you, Dan. Really enjoyed our conversation about whatever you talked about. Hey, just want to put it out there. Would love to maybe grab coffee and just talk about what you're thinking about with your home. Maybe it's have any thoughts of selling this summer?
Sure. Okay.
You tie that in. You get the meeting.
Yep.
Before you go to the meeting, send another video. Hey, Dan, thanks so much. Really looking forward to meeting you at Starbucks there on Pikes Peak Avenue. We're going to be talking about this, and this. If you don't mind, this is what I'd like to ask you about. So maybe prep them for the conversation, right? So, or if you're going to the listing presentation, I think it's a great way to introduce, this is how I communicate, right? Other agents aren't going to do that. I think you're going to instantly set yourself apart, that you're relational. I mean, let's face it, this is a very relational business, right? You're choosing people versus process in a lot of times. I don't know if you agree with that, but
I 100% agree with that.
Right? You choose the relationship sometimes, even over the process that they might have. So are you a person that can do that? And are you showing that you can build that relationship? So it's almost like pre-loading the deck before the listing presentation. And again, after the listing presentation, I send another video. We're being relational. You're human. Like, you think about the best salespeople you've ever hired. You hire them. Why? Because of their ability to communicate with passion and enthusiasm, right? And build relationships. And I really think in a lot of ways, the current status of communication, ties their hands behind their back. Text, even a lot of forms of messaging, it's not your best abilities. It's just not. And so putting your best abilities forward, whether that be for yourself or for your agents in your team, I think is a big deal. And so again, after the listing presentation, thanks, Dan. Man, it was great to meet your wife, Linda. She's amazing. The kids, the dog, whatever. Again, I think that we should do this, list this house at this price, and this is what I can do for you, and we'll get this thing done. So I think that's a big, big aha for people when they say this person's different than these other people I've talked to. And then on through the transaction, right? So keeping them updated of what's going on. Okay, we got 138 showings, right? Whether it be virtual or in person, it seems like the thing right now. But what's going on with that? How are we going to handle that? What about the inspection? I think just communication, and some of this could be evergreen. It doesn't have to be. I think a lot of times we get in the same situation again and again. And you can use a video that's kind of in the can, so to speak, and you can send that through the transactional process. So you can even tie that in the services you might be using. Let's say like Dotloop, for an example. You can have a message sent while they're in the transaction process, just to keep people up to speed. We do that a lot with mortgage folks that have these transactional systems and kind of firing out these videos as they go through the process. Does that answer your question? Because that's some of the best use cases I've seen in the middle of the transaction.
And I think those are fantastic use cases. And I don't think there's any way that I could argue against those. I think those are great ways to use video. And then I think, again, what you didn't expand on, but you talked about earlier was after the transaction, the retention piece.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, okay. I guess it comes down to video's important. Those are some ways that you could or should be using video. The real, I guess, for your service and why you built BombBomb, and maybe it's different today than it was in 2006 or 11. But what is the actual use case? Like, what is the ideal way to use this? Because again, if I meet you, if I bump into you, it's great to send a one-time message, right? I meet you at a party, I meet you at some function, and I go, "Hey, Darin, fantastic to meet you." Right? Like I do sort of a rundown of our interaction. Then what, right? This is where people get stuck, because then what, right? I met you, I said that once, right? And you're going to watch this video. Like, here's what I would do, right? If I met you, Darin, and you sent me a video of saying, "Hey, Toby, great to meet you. I would love to, you're a fan, you're an interesting guy, and I'd love to sit down and have coffee with you." I think that's one of the things you said earlier. I may not respond to that guy, right? Like I just may leave it and go, okay. I just may just put that in the can and go, yeah, maybe I'll have coffee with Darin sometime. And then it's dead, right? Like, so you use this fantastic one-to-one medium, but like I, as the consumer, drop the ball, right? Because I don't feel like moving the process along. How in terms of using your service and or video, like how do you see this? How is video more important or better utilized than email to then, again, I guess, take it to the next step or continue to develop that customer?
Sure. To me, I don't know why that would differ than any other process you had in place to re-engage that person in the first place. I would simply insert video into that process because you can decide for yourself if you believe or not that I believe that humans have intrinsic value. You probably don't disagree with that. And so, but how do people connect? Do you think they connect better? Is it just more efficient? Is it easier? Who's it easier for, the recipient or the sender? Because if it's easier for the recipient, I'm going to do it every time. And for me, I've sent probably something like 7,000 personal videos. Unless it's something like, yeah, that sounds good, you don't get a text email from me. You will get a video email from me because I believe you're experiencing me in another way. I think, what is the lifetime value of this customer or potential customer? And would it be better said face-to-face? And if it is better said face-to-face, you're getting a video from me. So I don't even, and you could say I'm completely biased. Of course I am, right? But I'm saying that I know the benefits of using video in that transaction because they get to experience who I am. And I'm going to bet on myself that I'm a likable person. That same follow-up approach, if it's going to be text email, I don't know. I don't think that you'll have a better success rate. If they're unengaged, they're unengaged. I don't know. Video's not a magic bullet either, right? So you still have to rely on your abilities as a person, as a salesperson, to get the transaction started or initiated.
And I think, and look, so I mean, I think you're touching on something that is super important when it comes to video or any kind of messaging, right? And it's
any messaging, absolutely.
That's right, any messaging.
Right. But what you say is important.
What you right, and who you are, right? Because again, right, people over process, right? People are going to win every time in 100%. Terms of me picking someone or not. So then it really becomes right, like our ability or I think really our courage to be our authentic selves on video, right? And this is the problem.
Yes.
Okay,
you're hitting it, man. Like that's right. I love that. The courage to be your authentic self. I think people have a desire for your authentic self. By the way, if you're listening to this, I think people they don't like. We want transparency. We want authentic. We want real. I think more than ever.
Yeah.
I think that's hard sometimes, so to step out maybe and be a bit vulnerable for that. It might feel that way at first, but I would encourage that, maybe after your 20th video, you wouldn't look back.
Right. So we agree on this, right? Like, if I can be authentic and I can really like try to engage with you as a human, I'm going to be way better off. And I tell people this all the time, right? Like, if you're going to create a video, because I'm with you, man. I think video is super important, and I think people should do more of it. I do think that the problem with video is that it is challenging, right? Without, and again, I'm not here to promote BombBomb. I probably why you and I have never connected in the past is because, I try not to bring industry. Historically, I've tried not to bring industry people on. Because I don't want to seem like I'm pushing a product, right? And you,
no, man, I get it. And I don't want to push. Look, if I just got you to think about using video, you can use something else. I honestly, to God, think it's better, like to be more face to face. So to just think about it that way, I think people are better in person, and so I just believe it. I'm a true believer. I'm that passionate.
I can hear it, dude.
Right?
Listen, I can hear you smiling right now, dude. I can hear you're a believer.
Exactly.
Okay, look, I'm a believer too. So let's see if we can get people over the hump, right? Let's see if we can identify some of the challenges that people have in doing video, and then if we can get them over the hump. Because some of the challenges, whether it's when it comes to messaging in general, is that people. Number one, when it comes to being transparent, people don't let themselves out, right? They try to stay very transactional, right? They try to stay very on, let's talk about the comparables instead of saying, hey, listen, again, being authentic. I think the problem with video is people can sit down and overthink anything, right? If it's a video, people are like, okay, I got to get my script down. I got to get the lighting right? I got to get my hair combed right. I got to, and all of a sudden, to create a 60-second video, they spend 3 hours doing it. And then they look back and go,
that's exactly right.
Nothing happened, right? They're like, oh, I spent 3 hours on this thing and nobody engaged.
And then they put this really a false expectation on the success of it.
Right.
It really, it is as good as your messaging is going to be. And I know this is hard for a lot of people to understand or to take in maybe. For some of you might listen to this. Look, you do not have to have everything perfect. We've spent too long being programmed by the 10 p.m. news or 11 p.m. news, wherever you are, to say this has to be a certain way or I shouldn't be on video, right? And that red light turns on or the green light on your Mac or whatever it is, and you're kind of freak out. My advice to you would be to send some videos to people you already know to start. And do not begin on the lead conversion side of the coin, right? Start on the side of the coin with either people you work with who care about you, your family, people you've already worked with. So, maybe start with your peers. Hey, Toby, what's going on? Hey, I got a question about 19 Oakdale Drive. I saw you got that done. I have a question. How did that work? And look, you can talk faster than you can type. That's just plain and simple. And you can be in depth in a way. It would take paragraphs to communicate in a written email versus a video, right? So there's a time savings. There really is in some of these things. But start there with a peer relationship, with a loved one. Maybe you live away from your parents. Send them a message, blow their minds, make their day, get them excited, get that feeling that it's a reciprocal feeling when another human being, and you give them something. And then they say, wow, thank you. That made my day. It makes you feel good. It makes them feel good. Start there.
Well,
Start with those things.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think like the way I send tons of texts, and right, if I'm just sitting down at my desk and I think of you, Darin, I might send you a text and go, hey, Darin, thinking of you, man, hope all's well. Right. That's it. Right. Boom, boom, boom. And that's something that would be much better. I would be much better served if I did have the ability to send a quick video. Hey, and again, hold on. Let me finish, because I think when it comes to authenticity, right, and getting our feet wet, getting used to this, right, getting used to not being perfect, right. If I sit at my desk and my hair's not combed, right, because we all work out of our office or home office, like that's what I should do, because that's authentically me. And I think people will, you're kind of breaking, in acting, right? The fourth wall, right? Like you're kind of breaking the fourth wall as a salesperson when you present yourself less than newsworthy, right? Like the 10 o'clock, hair combed, dressed in a blazer, you're kind of breaking that fourth wall. But I think, right, even though we are concerned about the warts that we might have, right, we want to hide those from the world, and we only want to share those with the people we love most. When we can unveil ourselves and show the world that we're not perfect, that and we're just trying, and I'm reaching out genuinely because I was thinking of you, Darin, right? That goes a long way.
And let me ask you, so I'd love your opinion on this, because I think I've been struggling with this. And what you just said, because you genuinely were thinking about me. See, we don't trust anymore. I don't think I do. I'd love your opinion. When I get that text, I wonder, is this automated? Right? When I get the email, I go, did they really send that? Or is that some sort of service they're using? Dude, I get like 15 to 20 of these a day. Now I get them text, I get them inbound phone, and I get them an email. I get them on LinkedIn. I get them anywhere I can get a message, I get this stuff. And you got to think, is that, and I think it's only escalating, right? And I'd call it digital pollution, because it makes me doubt that a real person did it. And so then I struggle with the authenticity of it. And it doesn't help the relationship. I think you could honestly have done that, but I may not believe you, right? Yep. And so it's like a nuclear holocaust of inundation of stuff at us, and it's only going to get worse. And that's where I think, again, that like if you want to get real about security and authenticity, now we're in the age of deep fake, getting like, right, security, how do I know it's really this person? I think in the future of video is the identity of the human. We know it actually was from Toby. It actually was from Darin because it's actually them saying my name. Other than that, I think we might not believe it. And I think that's only getting worse. I'm honestly asking, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that I'll give you an example. I'll tell you. So I have a sign up. I have a few ways that you can sign up on my website, right? And I give away a free book. I've given away a free book for a long time. And if you sign up for my free book, there is an email drip that I send, right, that you get, and there's a few things, and I'm a marketer, much like you, Darin, and in that follow-up series, there's a few things that I purposely have done, right, and like one of the things that I've done, I think it's on email 3. I send it's like 180 words, and then I go, I talk about this new training that I create, and I go, if you want this new training, you can check it out here, and in the email it goes www. That's it, right? There is no link, and so what I'm hoping there is that people get that, and if they're interested, they send me an email back and go, hey man, there was no link, and I'll tell you. There's lots of very, very well-known people that that are very well-known in this industry that have gotten on that list that have responded to me going, hey man, there is no link here. And I'll laugh and I'll respond back and I'll go, hey man, that is just to see who engages, right? That's just a marketing thing. I have gotten a few responses back when I tell people, hey, I just wanted to see, it's an engagement test. People will go, do you tricked me? Like really weird responses, right? Like people get angry.
Right.
So I tell you that because when I do get very generic messages, no matter what the channel is, right? Video, text, email. I commonly wonder the same thing. Is this real or is this some sort of drip? So, and so I would agree with you that if we can, the more personalized we can be, right? Hey, Darin, I was thinking of you, dude. I need to come up to your crazy 1,800 person town, right? I can't wait to make it.
That's personalized. That's personal.
Right.
That's personal. It's not even personalized. You could personalize with with an automated, field, right? I could put my name in the message, but you just sent me a personal message,
right?
And I'm just playing devil's advocate. I think you're with me a little bit. And I think from being marketers, you see that other side of the coin, and it's a drip, maybe, right? Because you're doing it too.
Yeah.
And so you're like, maybe. And I just think that's only going to get worse. I'm not saying. I just think that day's coming. Maybe not today, but we're starting to feel it. I'm feeling the effects of it today. And I think to be authentic and personal, I think video is going to be the delivery mechanism of that very soon.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's just too many automation devices and AIs out there.
That's right.
To really inundate us. I mean, it's just this amplification of sent stuff.
You're exactly right, and I think, and I don't want to derail this. Maybe we will, but the rise of AI and the smarter that companies become that have our data, right? Things are going to start to become more and more personal, right? And I don't know about personalized, but like the better AI gets, we're at some point we're gonna start to it's going to be indistinguishable, right? Just like the way that some of your mortgage people are using your service today, right? They create a message, and then they can reutilize that same message for all the other transactions, right? Because every other transaction from a lender perspective, right, at a certain stage in the process is exactly the same. Hey, Darin, what's up? We just got step 1 done. It should take 24 hours to process this, and now here's step 2. Here's what, be on the lookout for this, right? So
I think it's interesting that that's better, but I think teeing that up in the beginning and saying this is going to happen and this is what I do.
Right.
I do it because one, it does save me time, but also when you see a video from me, you understand it better than if you had to read this gigantic email that you don't want to read about all these steps, right? And so being upfront about the fact that this is how I do this, I think is an advantage and it's a unique selling proposition for that person. And so even then I would be transparent about how I was going to use video. It wouldn't be like implying that these are each personal. So that's how they do it. I think it's really interesting, this implied transparency on top of this better way of communicating these complex things.
Right. Well, and I think now we're kind of off topic a little bit, or we're maybe talking about different use cases for video or your product. But I think, in a lot of ways we could create, and I think people could do this with audio as well, right? Like I think everybody should have a podcast because I think when it comes to
I do too.
Right,
Yeah.
when it comes to training, when it comes to customer development, right? There's lots of stuff that we can process wise, right? Once they're in our ecosystem, I can explain the process, right? Here's step 1, Darin. Here's what you can expect as we go through this process, right? I only have to create that video once, but the deal is this: it's going to save me a ton of time. It's gonna improve my relationship with my client because I'm talking to them, and whether I recorded the video last week or this morning or 2 months ago, it doesn't matter, right? The people are getting the information that is critical to their lives at that point, And I think for me, go ahead.
No, you're right. I just want to say here that if customer experience is important to you, and the lifetime value and refer capability, right? In the agent world, it's referring it, and that's what we mean by lifetime value. So if the customer experience is number one and you care about that, I think what you just said is exactly right? Like that's why you should care about that you're giving them a better experience than someone else would, and you're increasing your opportunity to get referrals and have a lifetime value that is a multiple of 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 versus 0 or 1 or something.
Right. Well, yeah, but okay. So I would agree with you. I think most of your clients, man, and most agents or really most business people don't understand lifetime value. I've talked about customer lifetime value forever on this show. And
that's why we got to keep talking about it.
You're probably right. We got to get, but we got
to keep talking about it.
Well, hold on. For the people, explain it then. For the people who don't understand lifetime value, because this is a very big problem in this industry. And I'll tell you, the people that don't, I believe the people that don't focus on customer lifetime value they're not here for very long because I
100% agree.
Yeah. So explain lifetime value to the people who don't quite understand it.
You bet. So, as an example, we spend a lot of money to acquire a customer, right? Like I hope everyone on this call, if you don't know how much you spend to get one person to transact with you, you should know that. And so that's called the cost to acquire the customer, the CAC ratio of your business. It's a very important number. But the more important number is the lifetime value. So if you spend $100 to acquire a customer, which would be very cheap in real estate, and that person transacted with you once and never transacted with you again, that's not good, right? I mean, let's say it's more like $5,000, and if you didn't, you probably recouped your money. But where you really excel is if you can acquire a customer for $100, but they continue to refer people to you, or they transact. Let's say they sell with you and they buy with you. That'd be a multiple of 2, right? So your lifetime value is a multiple of 2 of what it costs to acquire it. Now, if that person refers, let's say their best friend or their neighbor, then there's a 3 multiple. Then let's say 2 years from now, they refer you another person. That communication, that experience you're giving them through the transaction is how you increase the lifetime value multiple, right, against how much it costs to get the customer. Now, this is much better for a whiteboard to explain this, right?
Right.
But basically, you got to think about the first thing. If you do not know how much it costs you to get a customer inside your business, and that successfully transacts, by the way, not just a listing presentation, because that's different, right? So, it might cost you much more to get listing presentations than how many of them actually transact, and then how many of those do multiple transactions with you and or refer people to you. And so that, your portion of the commission you get from all those transactions is the lifetime value of the customer. And I think this is missing from real estate, and it's a big problem, because if they thought about that, you would treat customers differently, and you'd frankly be able to spend more money to acquire them, probably.
You're exactly right. Well, that is the important piece. That we can talk about that in 1 second. But right, and here's the fact, right? Most marketers hopefully know, right? All good marketers do know the fact that it's all the friction that happens is at the beginning of a transaction, right? I meet you.
That's right.
We are complete strangers. I have to go through a bunch of brain damage to get to a point where you know me, like me, trust me, to the point that we're going to actually enter into a transaction. And once, right, I develop that trust, right? I build that bank of trust, right? Then it becomes much easier to sell additional ideas and
it's the most expensive part of your business, right? It's the most expensive part that you're spending money to do is that part of it.
And and most people, they will spend that money, they'll transact once, and they'll forget about it. They're like, "Oh, I sold a property to, or I listed Darin's property, and I'm done." But it's completely so absolutely short-sighted. Because Darin knows a bunch of people. Darin has a bunch of people in his family. Darin is a super connected guy, right? Like the best thing I can do is get closer and closer to Darin, because over the lifetime of our relationship, right, Darin and his cohorts, friends, family are all going to do
his network, sphere of influence. That's right. They'll work with you.
Exactly right. So that's what, as marketers, we should be doing, right? We go through the brain damage first, retain and develop that relationship along the way, thereby enhancing my lifetime value. Now, here's what you circle back to what you said, right? If I as the marketer don't understand what my cost of acquisition is, right? The actual cost, hard costs, labor costs, everything to get you to do a transaction. If I don't know that cost, that's going to really hurt my marketing. I have to know my customer acquisition cost to know if a marketing campaign is worthwhile, right? Because if it costs me $10,000, right, to if I'm in like ultra luxury, right? But it costs me $10,000 to acquire a client, but I make $50,000 off listing his Malibu house, right? Like that's
all day long.
All day long, I would spend $10,000.
I need to get as much money as I can if I can do that. That's right.
Right, and what's funny is Russell Brunson of ClickFunnels. You know Russell, right?
Yeah.
I think it's either Russell or Gary Vee will say that the winner in business is the person who can spend the most to acquire a customer, right? If you can spend the most money to acquire a customer and still earn a profit, you're going to win. And I think most people Go ahead.
It's math. If I gave you $10 and you gave me $50, would you do that?
Right.
I do that forever. How many $10 can I get? Right? Like it's that simple. It is math. It is, and a lot of times we just don't pay attention to the math in the beginning. And so, if I gave you 10 and you gave me 50, how often would you want to do that?
Well, and the problem,
but you got to identify the right people that will give you 50.
Yeah,
that's another part of the equation.
That's a whole different part of the equation. And here's the real problem, right? The problem is that when people, everything is math, but the only math that I'll talk about agents because that's who's mostly listening to the show. The only math that agents do is they look at a service like BombBomb. or they look at the energy and cost to create a podcast, or the money that they're going to cost to or it's going to cost to build a Facebook ad campaign. That's the only number they look at, and they go, oh, that's going to be $500 a month, or that's going to be $1,000 a month, or whatever, and they just go and they use that one metric, that one data point to go, that's too expensive or not expensive enough, right? And without
it's not scalable is the other thing. It's not scalable. Well, you don't know because you didn't try it. It might not be, but you don't know that yet. I would say that too, right? You're so right, dude. Now you're gonna have a whole podcast dedicated to LTV and CAC.
Yeah, you're right, and I should circle back on that. We always do.
Right. It's one of those things you can come back to every 6 months and be fresh.
For sure. So how do we get people, like, you're in this game, right? And how do you get people past that hurdle of going, hey, you know what? This is something, right? This is a new medium, or an old medium, but a medium that you should be using every day, and you should make the not only capital investment but the energy investment to make video work, right? And I think, and I'll just say this, man. I think when it comes to video or anything like this, right, it's the first few are always the hardest. But once you get past, once you use it for 30 days, all of a sudden it becomes, okay, this is what I do. I wake up in the morning as I'm having coffee, right? I send out 5 messages to the people who's on my mind today. It might be your mom, right? It may be the guy you met at Vaughn's yesterday. I don't know.
The effort investment is the biggest one. It's the most expensive because it's not expensive. It's like, for BombBomb Plus accounts, like $500 a year. It's not expensive. What is expensive is your time and your commitment to it and getting over that hump. And listen, we do a lot of this, frankly. We do a ton of webinars. We do a ton of training. We work with agents a ton. But we also work, and this is my challenge a little bit, we work with a ton of businesses, okay? Big businesses, we have accounts where there's like 3,000 users.
Wow.
But the difference is, or 100 users, or a team of 500 users, right? In all kinds of different companies. And the difference is this between real estate and them is that someone like a VP of sales is saying, no one has a choice. You're doing this and you're doing it X times a day, right? So they have a process built in that says every customer will be followed up this way with a video. Every proposal will be delivered this way. Every customer success rep will communicate with our customers this way through video, right? So when that's mandated, it blows the doors off of the acquisitions, blows the doors off the retention, and these other businesses. Because my business is the same. I have an acquisition cost. I have a lifetime value. It's very similar. Business is kind of business, right? But in the agent world, it's like your own business. And the difference is you don't have someone holding you accountable to X amount of these a day to kind of get you over that hump. Okay. So we see this in the business world of them having a lot of success and their usage rates are through the roof because they don't have a choice. They have to do it because I got to do what my boss tells me to. It's on my scorecard. It's on my, it's things I get graded on.
You're right.
So if you can grade yourself and own that a bit, and push through that and say, work a process. Like every inbound lead, I'm going to respond with a video. Every person I've worked with in the past 1 year, I'm going to send a video saying, thank you, hope you're well, what's new with you and the family. Those types of little micro goals help you get over the initial hurdle.
Okay, great, super. And I look, we got to start wrapping up, man. You're a fantastic guy to talk to. You're a fun guy to talk to.
Thanks, man.
So do you keep these people accountable? Because when it comes to man, if everybody was just consistency, right? That's what hurts everybody, right? Is being inconsistent. They try
everything, though.
In everything, right? Working out, dieting, you name it, right? People try.
Listen, video is the hit workout of freaking sales, dude. Like it's the thing you don't want to do, right? Like.
So do you guys? How do you help people, or do you? And it's okay if you don't. I don't care.
Yeah. No, we do. We try. It's harder. We have something like 60,000 real estate agents or something like that.
Jeez.
And they're all individual users, right? And so it's tough, man. Like it's easier, frankly, with the bigger businesses because you have a relationship with the CEO or the VPs or whatever. But these folks are all their own CEO, and so we continually hold webinars. It's been harder with COVID this year, to be honest, in real estate because we're not able to be as in front of people. We'd be doing all of these trade shows out doing conversations like this with you, just really a lot of in-person events and a ton of training where we weren't able to do that as much in 2020 in the real estate world. So we went virtual. I think Alicia, who's our national speaker, she must have done 80 webinars in the first 6 months of COVID, because everything that she would have been doing in person went completely online.
Sure.
But you can find it on BombBomb. I mean, we really try. We try and hold you accountable, and without shaming you, right? Because shame is not a motivator. It really isn't. I mean, we want to encourage you that there's a light on the other side, that we completely empathize with you, that this is tough. That how you, because it brings into light maybe how you feel about yourself,
right?
How you look,
right.
how you sound, and we get that that's an emotional thing to overcome. Frankly, our competitors don't get that. That this is an emotional battle for you, and we do. I've been doing this since 2006. If you saw me, you'd see I have a face for radio, right? And I send more videos than I got. One sales rep, I'll tell you, we're proud of these numbers. He sent over 20,000 personal videos. So at BombBomb, I think our number is something like 700,000 personal videos sent by the BombBomb team, something like that. We're closing on 1 million personal one-to-one videos. But if you need help, you want to talk to people who have done it, we are the little OGs in sending personal videos. So we get it. We get the pain of that, and then we have to overcome it too. So we're humans, and we want to help other human beings.
Okay, perfect. We got to start wrapping up. There's 3 stock questions I say everybody. First is a book recommendation. Okay, so here's the setup. I'm an aspiring agent.
Good.
I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy right now?
I got it. It's called Captivate: The Science of Succeeding with People by Vanessa Van Edwards. It's amazing, and it really talks a lot about what we've talked about today: how to build rapport quickly, how to be interesting at a cocktail party, how to be good on the phone. It's a great book. Captivate, Vanessa Van Edwards. She's amazing.
Interesting. All right, I will check that out. I've never heard that one before. All right, for you, we've talked about getting into routine, baking this into your daily, kind of habit, And again, I can't believe you live in this weird town with 1,800 people. I can't imagine what that's like. You must be the richest guy in your little town. Maybe people don't.
Up there. I'm on the town council. It's fun,
sure,
man. It's
sure.
It's like Mayberry. It's crazy.
That's funny. So I mean, do you have a daily habit or routine you think has contributed to your success, Darin?
100%. Yeah, 20 years. I've woke up at 5:30 in the morning. I work out for 45 to 50 minutes, 4 to 5 days a week. I got the Peloton behind me. I do HIIT workouts in the morning. I spend time, I'm a Christian, so I spend time in the Word. I spend time in prayer every morning. Then I spend time with my kids. I'm fortunate that I get to take my kids to school every morning. Their school is like a mile from my house. And they're a cool thing about living in a small town. So for me, that is the routine. That is it. And then I'm at my desk by 8:15. Got to take the kids at 8:35. I run a stand-up with my team at about 8:45. The stand-up consists of gratitude every morning for all the executives. What's your gratitude for today? What do we got going on today? Where are we stuck? We run Rockefeller Habits. We have for 20 years. I have personally for 20 years at BombBomb, I think now for 10. So we're big on routine and structure and visualizing the numbers, right? That I'm big on all those numbers we were talking about just a little bit. That's about a tenth of what we talk about every morning at BombBomb, but we go through it every day.
Oh, that's cool. That's a great routine. So, I mean, where do you guys want to be, right? I mean, you do the stand-up. It's interesting as a company. How many people are in that stand-up with you? Like when you go through...
Well, 12 with me. 12. I have my team. I have 12 reports, and we do that stand-up together. But they've already done the stand-up with their team. So every day in BombBomb, everybody's in a stand-up every morning. So by the time they get to my stand-up with my team, those have all kind of trickled up, and we have all the information we need every day.
And so it's okay. So you have 12 reports.
There's a lot there. That's another podcast show.
Well, it is another podcast,
but it's really good.
I guess here's what I want to get at is, it's interesting that you talk about your gratitude, right? With your reports. Yeah. And I'm sure your reports do it with their reports, right? What are you guys grateful for? That sort of it's interesting that you would bake in gratitude as such a big seemingly such a big part of your culture, because that's even when you first started talking about video, that's like the first use case that you mentioned was, hey, I'm so grateful that we were able to work together or whatever. Why is gratitude such an important pillar in the culture of BombBomb?
Yeah, it's the easy answer for me. Our mission at BombBomb is to rehumanize the planet, and that might sound crazy, but I will tell you, it starts with your DNA of your team, and you can work anywhere. You can literally, the people that work at BombBomb, they are smart. They can work anywhere. Why do they work with me? Because I care about them, and they know that I'm about something that's bigger than making money. And I want them to remember that every day. Our core values are humility, relationships, flexibility, and fun. And so part of that gratitude, living out those core values, right? And so I want people to know, and they work at BombBomb, that we care about them as people, and then we also care about their careers and their mindset. But that's what it's about. So leading with gratitude sets the stage of your day in a different manner. We can say, where are you stuck or what's wrong, or versus what are you grateful for today? And today it's so fun. The gratitudes can be personal. It could be professional. I was grateful for this peregrine falcon I got outside my office today that was diving on our little lake here in town and taking trout out of the lake. I mean, it was amazing, right? I'm like, that's amazing. So it's just fun to share those things that you're grateful with, and that sets the tone. And so you get to choose your mindset every day. You want to set it in a negative way, or you want to set it in a positive way. And we get so much more, like good vibes from hearing other people's gratitude. Do you notice that? Than even our own sometimes. And so I get to hear what 12 other people got going on in their life. It helps me as a person, and I think it helps other people.
It helps me is when I can hear someone else and share what they're grateful for. Often for me, I will tell you, gratitude is a difficult emotion because, I actually have a lot. I've been successful in my life, and I can look back and go, why should I be grateful for, the 2 Porsches I have in my garage, right? Because I shouldn't, because I earned that, right? I put in the hard work, right? I shouldn't be grateful for that. But for me, when I can hear other people share really share what they're grateful for in their life, it spurs me to go, oh, you know what, man, I really should be grateful for that or this in my life. So I can see how that's gratitude is this thing that we can all share, because when I hear it in someone else, it either spurs a different piece of gratitude in me, or it helps me, I guess, realize or reawaken the gratitude I have for that thing that this other person
dude, entrepreneurs, we're so driven, right? You're driven. I can tell. We've never met, but you can tell from me too. And so sometimes you don't slow down enough to kind of take it in and be like, yes. Sometimes goal setting is like heroin to us.
Yes.
Yes. Right? It's like heroin. And so how many times do we celebrate the markers along the way, right? And we celebrate them in ways like you buy the Porsche or whatever, but how do we live that out a bit? I think, and that's why we did that. That's why we put that in our stand-up.
I think that's fantastic. That's great. All right. Hey, man, I appreciate it. You've been great. For everybody who wants to know more about you, Darin, or BombBomb, how can they reach you?
I'm easy to find, bombbomb.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. We got a great book called Rehumanize Your Business. I'd encourage you to check that out. It was written by Ethan Butte and Steve Passanelli, our CMO and our CRO. They're really, or our chief evangelist, rather. They're great guys, and they're working on another book coming out in the fall. So, but if you're interested in anything we talked about, that it's really encapsulated well in that book, Rehumanize Your Business. So check that out too.
Fantastic.
But thanks for your time, man. It was so fun to hang out with you.
Yeah, you too, man. You too. And I'm surprised. I think we've actually met before. I think I a long time ago at a conference, I sat down. I will just share this before we sign off. I was in, I think it was a family reunion, KW conference that I went to.
Okay.
And I went into...
that's where we made our bones, man. Like at family reunion, we spent a lot of time doing that. Yeah.
So I was in the floor kind of early, and you guys were setting up, and I sat down. You guys, I was surprised, right? You guys had a big booth, and I was like, "Whoa, these guys spent a lot of money in this booth." And I sat down. I was on my phone. I sat down, and somebody came over, and I think it was you. It was either you or your other co-founder, and we just got to talking, and I was just, and you guys, I was like, neither one of you knew who I was, and I was like, man, I think one of you guys spent like $15,000 or 20 minutes, and I had to go. I was like, dude, I got to go. But I was like, why is this guy spending so much time with me, right? And again, I think that speaks to maybe your core value of trying to humanize the planet, right? And whether or not I was going to transact with you, you guys really laid the seed for me to go, oh, these guys are either have nobody to talk to, and that's why you spent 20 minutes with me, or you just really care about other people. But
I could tell you definitively it's both, but it might have been both at the time, but definitely now, to us, people matter, and relationships are everything in business, and no one is not worthy of it. Right? Like, that's what we think.
Well, and I can tell you that one interaction left an impact on me for sure. So, hey, man, I appreciate you coming on, and let's stay in touch.
You bet, man. Thanks you so much. Appreciate you.
See you, Darin. Bye.
Bye.